Can you believe it? I've been an officer of the law for over a decade, 10 long years, dealing with power-hungry egomaniacs and petty rule breakers who think they're above everyone else. I thought I'd seen it all, but nothing, absolutely nothing could have prepared me for the chaos that erupted when Karen stormed into my peaceful little neighborhood like a tornado with a clipboard. Who could have guessed that a single, overzealous HOA board member would dare to form her own so-called police force? Not me, that's for sure. She rolled in with her personal security squad, treating them like a private army ready to conquer our quiet streets. Nobody saw this madness coming, not a soul. And get this, for the longest time, she had no idea I'm an actual cop. Can you imagine the shock waiting for her? Before I dive headfirst into this wild, intense story, I've got a quick favor to ask. Drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. It's mind-blowing to think about how far these crazy tales travel, and I'd love to know who's out there with me on this roller coaster. Thank you so much, seriously. You're the best. Now hold on to your hats because here we go. Picture this. I first realized something was seriously wrong when I spotted those garish, bright orange violation tags slapped all over my neighbors' doorways like some kind of HOA plague. What was going on? One of my favorite neighbors, sweet Miss S. Dell, had hung these adorable decorative wind chimes on her porch harmless. Right? Wrong. Apparently, Karen decided that the gentle tinkling of those chimes was a full-blown noise pollution crisis. Can you believe the nerve she threatened finds so astronomical? You'd think Miss S. Dell had set up an illegal rock concert venue right there on her front steps. Then there was poor Mr. Evans, good old Mr. Evans, who loved tinkering with old cars as a hobby. Out of nowhere, Karen's self-appointed officers, her little minions, barged onto his driveway like they owned the place. They demanded he stop his unapproved automotive activity and scolded him for his so-called unsightly mechanical contraptions. Unapproved by who? It wasn't even an official HOA rule. But Karen, oh no, she insisted it was ruining the precious community aesthetics. Give me a break. All this time I watched from a distance, shaking my head in disbelief. I'd stumble home from my real police shifts exhausted, drenched in sweat after hours in a sweltering patrol car, only to see Karen's ridiculous enforcers skulking around like wannabe cops. And their outfits? Oh, you've got to hear this. They strutted around in uniforms that looked suspiciously close to actual law enforcement gear, black polo shirts with neighborhood patrol stitched in bold white letters, walkie-talkies clipped to their hips, and these cheap dime store flashlights they'd wave around like they were directing traffic at dusk. Despite all the over-the-top theatrics, what did they actually do? Harass innocent people over the dumbest, most trivial nonsense imaginable. At that point, my heart ached for my neighbors. How could they put up with this? Karen hadn't turned her crazy, obsessive gaze on me yet, and I was just praying it'd stay that way. But oh, how quickly things changed. One afternoon, after dragging myself home from a brutal night shift, I found a pink citation shoved under my welcome mat like a taunting little love note from the devil herself. Violation, unapproved vehicle entry, it declared, complete with a ridiculous, hefty penalty. What on earth was this nonsense? According to Karen, I'd failed to stop at some imaginary checkpoint near the neighborhood entrance, one of her pathetic handmade signs that looked more like a yard sale reject than anything official. I laughed it off at first, who wouldn't? It was such a bad joke. Real law enforcement doesn't waste time with phantom checkpoints cooked up by some HOA tyrant. Days went by and I kept ignoring that absurd fine pay for that. Are you kidding me? The very idea was laughable. If she'd tried to push it through legit legal channels, I'd have heard about it from my department, or at least the county offices, faster than you can say lawsuit. But nope, everything stayed eerily quiet on my end. Too quiet, maybe? Meanwhile, Karen was on a rampage, pestering everyone else in sight. She went after a teenager jamming out with his garage band. How dare he have fun, right? Then there was an elderly couple who dared to install solar panels without her royal permission. Gasp. Even a single dad wasn't safe. His kids drew some cute chalk art on the sidewalk, And Karen lost her mind over it. She was an equal opportunity menace. Nobody, and I mean nobody, was spared her wrath. Then came the evening that pushed me over the edge. After a grueling double shift, 16 hours of pure exhaustion, I drove home at dusk, dreaming of nothing but a steaming hot shower and a plate of food to soothe my soul. But what greeted me instead? My jaw nearly hit the pavement. Karen's squad had formed a full-on blockade at my driveway entrance, standing shoulder to shoulder with flashlights raised like they were guarding Fort Knox. Their goofy golf cart, complete with a light bar, was angled diagonally across the pavement, blocking me from pulling in. And there she was, Karen herself, front and center, arms folded, sneering at me with this triumphant, smug look that made my blood boil. "Stop right there," she shouted, her voice dripping with authority she didn't have. "You are in violation of HOA Code 11B, failure to pay a legally issued fine. This driveway is now blocked until you settle your debt. Can you even imagine the audacity?" I killed the engine, stepped out of my car, and took a long, hard look at their pathetic faux cop setup, makeshift barricade tape flapping in the breeze, plastic cones scattered like toys, and a couple of handheld radios squawking static like they were in some low-budget action movie. It was so absurd, I almost forgot how furious I was almost. Raising an eyebrow, I said, "Look, I've had a very long day. I'm tired, I'm hungry, and this is my property. That so-called fine of yours is nonsense, pure garbage. Move your toys before this gets embarrassing for you." But Karen? Oh, she wasn't fazed. She tapped a laminated sheet she yanked from her clipboard, like it was the Constitution itself. "You owe $100 plus late fees," she barked. "This is a recorded enforcement action. If you refuse to comply, we'll be forced to escalate." Her officers, her little posse, nodded along, glaring at me like I was some bank robber they'd just cornered. One guy even stepped forward, as if he was about to physically stop me from walking onto my own driveway. Who did he think he was? That's when I'd had enough. My temper exploded. Lowering my voice to that calm, steely tone I save for real troublemakers, I said, "Listen carefully. I am a fully sworn police officer. You have no authority, none, to block a private citizen's property over an illegitimate fine. Now step aside." The entire squad froze, blinking at me in unison like deer in headlights. Karen? She looked downright stunned, like someone had just told her Santa Claus wasn't real. For a moment, it was dead quiet, save for the rustle of wind in the trees. Was she actually speechless? I could practically see the gears grinding behind her eyes. He's a cop for real? But she recovered fast, too fast. "I don't care if you're the governor," she snapped. "Our neighborhood rules are to be followed. The board gave me full power to enforce." "Oh, really?" I cut her off with a sharp gesture, whipping out my badge like a trump card. "Your board does not override state or local law," I shot back. "Blocking someone's private property is illegal. So is threatening them with a fake police force. Now move right now." What followed was a tense, heart-pounding standoff, my pulse racing like I was facing down an armed suspect. Her volunteer enforcers glanced at Karen for guidance, but she just stood there, bristling with defiance, refusing to budge an inch. My heart was hammering. I'm used to real confrontations, sure, but this felt bizarre, almost laughable if it weren't so maddening. Finally, one of the guys in her group cracked, stepping away and clearing a path. The others followed suit in awkward, shuffling silence, thank goodness. And I pulled my car into my driveway, victorious at last. But I wasn't done, not yet. I turned around to face Karen one last time, my voice firm. "Any more harassment, any more phony tickets or attempts to block my property, and I will involve actual law enforcement." Do I make myself clear? She didn't say a word, just glared at me with all the venom she could muster, her eyes practically shooting daggers. Then she spun on her heel, hopped into that ridiculous golf cart, and puttered off with her crew trailing behind like scolded puppies. What a sight! I stood there for a second, catching my breath, my mind racing. What crazy stunt would she pull next? Because if there's one thing I've learned in my years on the force, it's this. People like Karen don't back down quietly, they dig in deeper. As I headed inside, my shoulders still tense from the showdown, a tiny, triumphant smile crept onto my face. She'd messed with the wrong guy this time. Oh, had she ever? The whole neighborhood had been suffering under her insane reign for way too long. And now she'd finally met her match. Could this be the start of something bigger? Maybe it was time to restore real order to this place and show Karen that her flimsy, made-up tyranny didn't stand a chance against actual law and justice. Bring it on, Karen, I'm ready. Can you believe it? I stood there for a heartbeat, my chest heaving, trying to catch my breath after that insane showdown, my mind racing with one burning question. What insane stunt would Karen pull next? Because after more than a decade on the force, I've learned one unshakable truth. People like her don't just slink away quietly, no way. They double down, and I could feel it in my gut that she wasn't done with me yet. I stumbled inside, my shoulders knotted tight from the confrontation. But get this, a tiny, defiant smile tugged at my lips. Can you imagine? The whole neighborhood had been groaning under Karen's bizarre, tyrannical reign for far too long. And now, oh now, she'd finally picked the wrong guy to mess with. Could this be it? Maybe, just maybe, it was time to bring real order back to this place and show her that her flimsy little power trip didn't stand a chance against actual law and justice. Bring it on, Karen, I'm ready for you. I'd hoped, prayed, even that my face-off with her that evening would scare her straight, or at least convince her to back off for a while. Ha! Fat chance! What I never saw coming was the sheer viciousness of her revenge, an audacious, spiteful move so outrageous. It left the entire neighborhood reeling, and me angrier than I'd ever been in my life. A couple of days passed, eerily quiet, with Karen mysteriously absent from her usual rounds of enforcement. Was it possible? Had I actually gotten through to her thick skull? I started to wonder, dare I say, hope that she'd finally seen the light. But then, early one morning, I stepped outside to grab my newspaper, and holy cow, I nearly dropped it in pure horror. My patrol car, parked innocently at the edge of my driveway, was drenched in some sticky, foul-smelling gunk. What was this stuff? It looked like a disgusting mix of paint, glue, and who knows what else, with giant yellow X marks slapped all over the doors and windshield like a sick prank. And taped to the driver's side mirror? A note scrawled in bold red marker screaming, "Pay your fines or find a new neighborhood." Are you kidding me? My face flushed hot with rage. Oh, I was seeing red. It didn't take a detective to figure out who was behind this cowardly attack. But then came the real gut punch. My car wasn't the only target. Can you believe it? Several neighbors' cars had been hit too, defaced with hateful messages about HOA compliance in the most garish way possible. One minivan had "no deadbeats" splashed across its hood in lurid pink paint. Talk about over the top. Poor Miss S. Dell's door, once adorned with those cheerful wind chimes, was now hammered with nails in a crooked, menacing grid, like someone had tried to seal her inside. Who does that? I whipped out my phone and snapped pictures of every vicious bit of vandalism evidence. Baby, evidence. My neighbor, Mr. Evans, rushed over, his jaw clenched tight, pointing at fresh tire tracks on the road. Saw a truck last night, around 2 in the morning, he said, his voice shaking. Didn't think much of it, but it wasn't anyone I recognized. They were spraying something, thought it might have been pesticide or some fancy cleaning job. Now I realize I should have called you. Don't blame yourself, I shot back, my heart pounding. This is obviously organized Karen's personal squad. Must have done it, those creeps. I stormed off to file an official police report, handing over my pile of evidence to a buddy at the precinct. Sure, I couldn't slap cuffs on Karen right then and there without rock-solid proof tying her to the crime. But mark my words, it was only a matter of time before the truth came crashing down on her. Meanwhile, the neighborhood was buzzing absolutely electric with outrage, fear, and a simmering hatred for the woman who'd finally gone too far. Word of the vandalism spread like wildfire. Everyone was talking. A few folks pounded on my door, their faces twisted with fury, ready to take action. One couple swore they'd seen Karen's so-called officers skulking through backyards with flashlights hours after midnight. Creepy much? A single mom thrust a bizarre eviction notice in my face, taped to her garage, demanding she leave if she couldn't maintain proper standards. What even is that? An older retiree found hateful flyers slipped under her windshield wipers, calling her lazy for not landscaping her yard to Karen's liking. Lazy? Seriously? People had stomached her petty nonsense for ages, but this physically trashing property and threatening to drive them out of their own homes? That was a whole new level of evil, pure, unhinged wickedness. By mid-afternoon, the neighbors were roaring for a united pushback. Enough was enough. Some started drafting a petition to boot Karen from any HOA position. She might still cling to good riddance. Others turned to me, wide-eyed, demanding I do something more direct as a police officer could. And I just fix this. Late that same day, I spotted her, Karen herself, patrolling the main street in her ridiculous golf cart. Two of her cronies riding shotgun. They were handing out little leaflets door to door like some twisted propaganda machine. As soon as she locked eyes with me, she snapped her fingers at her squad to stop. Oh, here we go, and hopped out, marching straight toward me with eyes brimming with vindictive glee. What was she plotting now? That night, I called an emergency neighborhood meeting at Mr. Evans's place, spreading the word fast. No official HOA garbage. Just us, the real neighbors, the ones Karen was terrorizing. People showed up in droves, standing room only. We crammed shoulder to shoulder in his tiny living room, the air thick with tension. Mrs. Dell confessed, her voice trembling, that she was scared to leave her house unattended. What if Karen struck again? A local teacher revealed Karen had plastered humiliating signs around her yard, calling her a brainwasher of children. How low can you go? A father of two raged, veins popping, that Karen's patrol had flashed lights into his kids' bedrooms at midnight, claiming night inspection. Are you serious? The stories piled up, each more unhinged than the last. My head was spinning. Folks turned to me, their eyes pleading, couldn't I just wave a magic wand and make this nightmare vanish? But as a cop, I had to play by the book: evidence, statements, formal charges. Ugh, the process. Still, hearing their desperation lit a fire in me. I was angrier than ever. Karen wasn't just being petty or nosy anymore. She was orchestrating a full-on campaign of intimidation. She wanted control, total domination. And she wanted everyone cowering under her made-up rulebook. Not on my watch. Quietly, but with steel in my voice, I told the group, I promise you we'll put an end to this. She's crossing criminal lines, now vandalism, harassment, maybe even trespassing. Let me gather everything, and we'll take real action hard and fast. A chorus of relieved murmurs rippled through the room, thank God, though the tension hung heavy. Everyone knew Karen wouldn't back down unless we forced her, kicking and screaming. Lucky for us, the law was on our side. She just didn't get it yet. As I left Mr. Evans's house that evening, I passed my still-stained patrol car in the driveway. The stench from whatever Karen had used hit me like a slap, a cruel reminder of her viciousness. But you know what? I felt this strange burning resolve rising in my chest. She wanted revenge? Oh, honey, she was about to face real consequences, big time. Her private police squad might have fed her delusions of power, but they were no match for the actual rule of law, no chance in hell. And once we'd rounded up all the neighbor testimonies, vandalism reports, and those damning photos to shove in the authorities' faces, there'd be no golf cart on earth fast enough to outrun the storm heading her way. Watch out. Karen Justice is coming for you. Right then and there, I made up my mind. Can you feel the fire in my chest? If it took every last ounce of my influence as a police officer, every sleepless night, and every spare second my neighbors could muster, we'd slam the brakes on Karen's reign of terror so hard she'd hear the screech from a mile away. She'd picked this fight. Oh, she had no idea what she'd started, and now the whole neighborhood was rising up, ready to make her regret every smug step she'd taken. After I poured my heart into a detailed report laying out Karen's illegal checkpoint nonsense, her harassment tactics, and her blatant trespass like a crime scene map, my captain didn't even blink. "Let's move," he barked, greenlighting the next step. A full-on coordinated operation to shut down Karen's self-styled law enforcement once and for all. This wasn't just petty neighbor drama anymore, oh no. Her actions had crossed the line into straight-up criminal territory, especially after she and her so-called squad started blocking public roads and intimidating residents like they owned the place. By this point, the neighborhood was a ticking time bomb. Can you imagine the tension? Every night, you could feel it thickening in the air, neighbors pacing, hearts pounding, waiting for Karen's next unhinged stunt. We all prayed she'd finally see her ridiculous charade was over fat chance. Instead, she doubled down like a villain in some twisted movie. Sure enough, late on a Friday night, when I was off duty, finally catching a breather word, hit like a thunderclap. Karen's team was back at it, camped out at the neighborhood entrance. Flashlights swept across windshields. Reflective cones formed a crude barricade. What was she thinking? My phone lit up with frantic texts. Bam, bam, bam. Neighbor #1 fired off. They're stopping cars again. Looks like 4 or 5 of them this time. Neighbor #2 chimed in. This is escalating. They tried to take my license plate info and threatened to fine me if I didn't show proper papers. Can you believe the gall? I shot the info straight to my captain, who didn't waste a second. Squad cars were rolling out pronto. He gave me the green light to join if I wanted. Heck, yeah, I wanted in. After all, I'd lived this nightmare firsthand. Who knew it better than me? Without a second thought, I grabbed my badge and gear, leapt into my freshly cleaned patrol vehicle, goodbye, Karen stink, and tore down the street, adrenaline pumping through my veins. We crept in stealth mode, lights off, about 4 blocks away, standard procedure, for a situation that wasn't confirmed violent yet but was absolutely, undeniably illegal. 2 squad cars flanked me back up, baby. Even from a distance, we could see the flashing hazard lights of Karen's pathetic golf cart and the orange glow of road flares marking her makeshift checkpoint. Talk about a circus. Officer Bailey crackled over the radio. Copy that. I see at least 5 individuals. Looks like they're stopping a red sedan right now. The captain's voice boomed back. All right, on my count, keep it calm and orderly. We'll secure the scene first. My stomach twisted into a knot, half anticipation, half pure rage. This was my neighborhood, my people being harassed. How dare she? But tonight, oh, tonight, Karen wasn't slipping away like the coward she was. We roared in, flashers blazing, lighting up the street in red and blue. Bam. Karen's officers froze like statues. One fumbled and dropped his flashlight, sending wild shadows dancing across the asphalt. Clumsy much? Karen herself, decked out in a navy blue polo with neighborhood patrol embroidered on it like some wannabe cop, whipped her head around in a panic. Caught you. The captain stepped out, his voice steady as steel, hands where we can see them. Everyone remain calm. This is the police. Karen's crew looked like deer in headlights, torn between loyalty to their tyrant queen and plain old common sense. Two of them actually threw their hands up, trembling smart move. Another tried to shuffle behind Karen, using her as a human shield. Seriously, dude. I stepped forward, badge gleaming in my hand, and laid it out. This operation is over. You're blocking a public road, detaining drivers without authority, and issuing fraudulent fines. Game's up. I locked eyes with Karen, her face flushed a furious red, clutching her clipboard like it was her last lifeline, knuckles white as bone. Her voice shook as she stammered, You can't arrest us. We have every right under the HOA charter. Oh, really? The captain cut her off sharp. Your so-called charter doesn't supersede local or state law? You have no legal jurisdiction to set up roadblocks or demand compliance. Hands behind your back now. Karen hesitated, her eyes darting wildly for an escape. Were you gonna run, huh? One of her recruits stepped forward, maybe thinking he could smooth talk his way out, but Officer Bailey shut him down fast. Stand down. Another officer read Karen and her posse their rights. Boom. Justice in motion. It was surreal, watching them in handcuffs, each one more bewildered than the last. Karen's eyes went wild, and she lashed out, spitting venom. This is harassment. I'm protecting the community. I cut in, grim and steady. You've been terrorizing it, Karen. There's plenty of evidence, and now we've got you red-handed running an illegal checkpoint. She glared at me like I was the devil incarnate. Bring it on. But clammed up as the handcuffs clicked shut around her wrists. Sweet, sweet sound. Within minutes, a crowd gathered, headlights glaring at the makeshift barricade, neighbors spilling out to witness the takedown. Some stood silent, jaws dropped. Others murmured with relief and vindication finally. A few even clapped as Karen's squad was marched to the squad cars. Yes, Miss S. Dell lingered off to the side, tears streaking her face, but a smile breaking through. Had the weight finally lifted, Mr. Evans shot me a thumbs-up, gratitude radiating off him. Folks who'd been forced to stop at Karen's checkpoint just moments before spilled their guts to the officer's threats, demands for proof of compliance, laying it all out. Just before they shoved her into the squad car, Karen twisted around, spitting one last tirade. My way, you think you've won? I'll sue you for false arrest. I'll bring the entire HOA board down on you. Venom dripped from every word. Cool as ice, I fired back. Good luck with that. We've got the law on our side. Slammed the car door shut, and that was the last I heard from her. Good riddance. Her underlings, still rocking those laughable neighborhood patrol polos, looked utterly defeated, heads hanging low. Some mumbled weak apologies or excuses to the arresting officers. We didn't know it was illegal. Oh, please. Ignorance wasn't saving them tonight, not a chance. As the police convoy rolled out, yanking away the road flares and orange cones, a wave of relief crashed over the neighborhood. Can you feel it? People swarmed me, voices shaking with thanks, spilling stories of Karen's intimidation tactics that had haunted them for weeks. They'd felt helpless, trapped, thinking her shady HOA rulebook might actually trump common sense or real law. I reassured them, firm and steady. These arrests are legit, backed by mountains of evidence. Harassment, unlawful detainment, reckless conduct, she's done. In the days ahead, they'd face a slew of charges enough to smash Karen's little empire to dust. After that night, the neighborhood finally let out a long, shaky breath. Freedom at last. Karen's house stood dark and lifeless, her golf cart abandoned in the driveway like a relic of her madness, her patrol posters torn down by whoever was still loyal, if anyone even was. The HOA board scrambled to distance themselves, claiming they never authorized armed checkpoints or forced compliance. Sure, guys save face, but I'd bet my badge they'd face legal heat too. For the first time in forever, I came home from a shift and felt true peace in the place. I'd chosen to call home. No more homemade tickets shoved under my door. No more security cronies flashing lights into windows. No more fear lurking around every corner. Hallelujah. Karen had underestimated us big time, forgetting that real justice isn't a game. You can bluff your way through. She and her crew learned that lesson the hard way. Oh, did they ever? Thanks for watching. Can you believe this craziness? Stay tuned for more wild tales. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more stories like this. Let's keep the justice rolling.